Hello, what is up, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of my 1997 Jeep Cherokee project. Today, we're doing the big one. I'm excited, I'm nervous. I'm replacing the airbag system. That needs replaced, that needs replaced. No horn works. It went off. I think he was off-roading, bumped something. That's why the fender, I believe it's this side, is messed up. Anyways, airbags went off and I'm gonna replace them. So I got this steering wheel puller set. You can rent them at Advanced Auto Parts or probably any auto parts store you go to. Not sure which size I'll need, but I'll figure that out in a minute. So today I'm going to be replacing the driver's side airbag, the sensor module, the clock spring, and the passenger side airbag. So I don't want anything exploding in my face, so I'm going to unhook the battery, starting with the negative and then the positive. Make sure once you have both sides unhooked, you keep them away from the battery so nothing goes off. So once we're inside the vehicle, the first thing we're going to replace is the sensor module, which is underneath this. So the center console CD holder will have 4 screws on the top, and then I believe 2 screws on the inside. Take a screwdriver and undo them all. Once you've unscrewed them all, 2 of them hold on the lid, so that'll come out, and then you can just lift the center console right out. Set it aside. So I'm doing mine a little different. Underneath here is the sensor module. There's usually this tube that goes to those vents for the air conditioning. So you will usually have to undo the entire center console, which is a lot of work, but instead I just cut the tube with a box knife and then I'm going to tape it over later. There's going to be a couple Phillips head screws on the corners holding on this cover. Luckily mine's kind of broken, so I can just take it off. You'll then have 3 10mm bolts to undo. Once you struggle with getting the ratchet to do what it's supposed to, you'll just take those 3 out and you'll be good to go. After you remove the bolts, you can just pull it out and then undo this plug. It's just 2 tabs on the side. You press them together and then it comes right out. Then you just do the opposite with the new one. You bolt it back in, plug it in. I'm going to take this and tape it back on. Nice and easy. Okay, now we have to remove the airbag and the steering wheel. So first of all, you're going to start with these 2 bolts. There's one there and one on the other side. It's going to be an 8mm for a ratchet, and you just go at it till they come out. So once you have undone the bolts, you can just pull the airbag right off. Underneath will be 2 things you need to do. You'll have to undo the red plug, which is for the horn, and then the yellow one is for the airbag. It'll come right out. Plugs are pretty simple. The yellow one usually just falls right out, and the red one, you just press a tab and it'll come right out of the sleeve. I then use my handy dandy tiny screwdriver to get the green one, which is the cruise control. It's a 13/16 socket to get the center bolt out. I don't have a drill attachment, so I have to do everything by the ratchet. So this is how you're going to set up this particular puller. 2 bolts on the sides, which I believe are 3/8, and then the ratchet in the center is a 3/4. This would be another great time to use a drill, but I do not have the attachment, so I just go on my brute strength with the ratchet, but I was able to get it. Once the steering wheel pulls off, you'll just have to get those wires through. It can be a little annoying, but once you do, steering wheel's off. Next step. To get to the clock spring, you're going to have to undo these 3 bolts. There's 2 there, and then there's one way in the back. The center hole is misleading because it is not actually a screw. You're then going to pull apart the 2 plastic bits. Underneath the clock spring, there's going to be a yellow and a white plug that you have to undo. They're a little difficult, but you get them and you're good. Once you have your new clock spring, you're going to make sure that this white centerpiece is going straight up and down with the steering wheel. It's got 2 black tabs, and those are going to go right over here into these holes. One there on the top, and then one there, right there on the bottom. Once the 2 black tabs have been clicked in, you're then going to click in the 2 plugs on the bottom right where they came out the other one, and you're good to go. You're then going to push the clock spring wires right through the steering wheel, line it up, and push it in. After that, you can go ahead and hand tighten the center bolt, and then you want to go through with a ratchet and tighten it as hard as you can. Make sure to get this nice and tight because this is what holds the steering wheel on. When doing this, it's going to be a lot easier if you put this plastic bit on first. I forgot about it, and so I had to do it around the steering wheel, and it was super annoying, but I got it done. You can then take your new steering wheel, and you're going to do the opposite of what you did before. Connect the red to the red, put the yellow on that hole in the back, and then you're going to connect your cruise control to the green wire. After you got those all plugged in, it should slide right into place, and you're just going to take those bolts and ratchet them back on. And just like that, your clock spring and your driver's side airbag are installed. Now for the final step, replacing the passenger airbag. You're going to have to get this to drop, which is with these two rubber tabs. You're going to have to get this to lift by removing that center plate. So those rubber stoppers, literally all you have to do is pull them down and they come right out. So for the center cover, you're going to grab from the bottom and pull, and the rest of the tab should come out. Then there's a few screws on the top that you're going to want to undo so that this top piece will move. Once you've done that, you can remove that, which will get rid of the plastic trim on top of the airbag, so you have access to these screws. There's going to be a few on the top, as well as a few on the bottom that you're going to undo with just a normal screwdriver. Once you've taken out all the screws, you can grab the cover and pull it to the left, and it'll pop right out. Then you're going to go, and there's these 10mm bolts. There's 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, and you just have to unscrew them. I like to use a ratchet for the top 2, and then the bottom right is pretty easy to get to, and then I use a normal wrench for the bottom left because it's in a really awkward spot. It's going to take an extra long time, but if you want to switch your airbag, you got to do it. Then all that's left is to undo the yellow plug on the top, and you can pull the airbag right out. Then you get the new airbag. I like to put the cover on first just because it's a little difficult to get in there. And then you're just going to take those bolts and put them back into the new one. Start with doing the plug first because, it's going to be easier to do that first and then work around it rather than put everything together and then try to get your hands back there. And voila, the last airbag is installed. Then it's all about just putting all the trim back together, and it all pops in nice and easy. And now it looks so much better in here. No more screw holes, no more tape. It is just like a classic Jeep Cherokee. I then reconnected the battery, hoping that nothing would explode, and it didn't. The airbags stayed where they were supposed to. I then wanted to start the engine just to make sure that they wouldn't go off when that happens. So what I did is I got behind the back seat as protection and then just reached my long arm into the front and started the engine and hoped for the best. And just like that, the engine started perfectly and no airbags went off. It is awesome. I really thought this was going to be an all-day project, but it only took me about 2 hours to get everything done. So I'm really happy. Everything looks so much better in here, and it's a lot more safe. But I have to say the most satisfying part about this is that when I turn the engine, it takes a minute, but the airbag light goes away. I fixed the airbag system. I'm so happy. And apparently my big badass Jeep has the cutest horn ever. And that right there is how to reinstall your airbag system if it's gone off or just needs replaced in general. I really hope it's helped somebody. It's definitely an improvement for just looks and safety in general. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for part 5. Bye!